I'm quite excited today because something arrived in the post a little bit earlier than it was supposed to. So let's open it up and have a quick look. Broken receipt with a big hole through it, which is nice. And here we go. The DJI Mini 3 Pro with the remote controller. Stupidly, when I ordered this a couple of weeks ago, there was a little note on the DJI site, because I was going to order the Fly More combo at the same time, and there was a little note on it that said one of these items may come into stock later than the other one, and if you choose to order them together you may have to wait until they both come in, until they get delivered. So I wasn't sure which one they were referring to. I presumed that they were referring to the drone and not the Fly More kit. So consequently I ordered the drone and not the Fly More kit, thinking, well, I'll order that at a different time. And when it said the delivery date on it, it was going to be the middle of next month, the middle of July. So I thought, well, there's no hurry, I won't bother ordering the Fly More kit yet. Anyway, then I got an email yesterday saying, oh, we've got a delivery for you, it's been dispatched. So I went and ordered the Fly More kit, but of course I haven't got that yet. So this is all I've got for the moment. So, but still exciting, and hopefully, let's see if I can open it without damaging the box itself. There we go. Tab here that you pull off, and then, ooh, funky. And here is the little item in question, looking like a little spaceship, actually, when you look at it that way. It's got like a cockpit and some laser guns at the front and a loading bay at the back. Yeah, it could be a little Star Trek shuttlecraft. So presumably, okay, seems to be stuck. Okay, so they've obviously packaged it with a little bit of foam to stop it moving around, and this seems to have like little, I don't know if you can see that, it seems to have little plastic things stuck around the edge. I presume all this is to protect the lens as it's being transferred and stuff. Okay, interesting. Now, does that come out first? Okay. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I presume it's got the battery. It actually weighs, or seems to weigh, a fair amount. Well, I'm presuming it weighs 250 grams, 249 grams to be precise. Yeah, it does say it. And it says it down here. You can see it's got the bottom sensors. These two rocket bays here are the front sensors, and I presume the back of these is the back sensors. Okay. Looks like the battery, some little grips there that presumably, yep, release the battery compartment. So there's the little battery. It always amazes me how they, get all the electronics into these tiny things, and yet they're still fairly sort of sturdy and quite strong. Let's put the battery back in for a sec. Okay. interesting that I'll have to get my mini out later and compare the two in size, but the turn-on button looks like it's on the top of this, whereas on the original mini it was on the bottom. Yeah, it's got little rubber feet on here. Interesting. Okay, put that down somewhere. See what else is in the box. So. Out the box, and here we have the controller. Okay, so a nice shiny controller. Looks like it's got the little control panels on the back here. Wow, they're fiddly. They look a lot more fiddly than on the other Mini, but they look like they're made of aluminium or something like that. They're metal, they're not plastic. Mind you, the other ones, maybe the other ones were metal as well, but just painted black. So that's those on. There's like a little, that's interesting, there's like a little serrated edge to the top which sort of grips to your thumb a little bit. That's quite nice. They feel very loose, like the actual controlled movement feels a bit too loose. You know, you almost think when you try to control things really carefully, you sort of want to. Oh, the cat's moaning at me now. What's the matter? Let's move this out of the way in case the cat decides to come up. Come on. Hey, come on. Hello, baby. What's the matter? Yeah, it sort of feels like it's a little bit looser than you'd like it. What's the matter? Hey, what's the matter? I'll unbox you in a minute. Okay. Yeah, but it'd be interesting to try and fly it and see how that feels. You've got your controls there for the, I presume, panning up and down. I can't remember what that one was for. There's a couple of buttons on the bottom, C1 and C2. I presume they're to do with the return home thing, or you might be able to assign them to something. There's a home button, a pause button. That's interesting. There's a little switch here for C, N and S. Not quite sure what that means. I might have to read the manual on this one. But yeah, there's a little. So that's interesting. So there's a USB port there. There's, what's the matter, pussycat? Eh? There's a micro SD card there, and something that says host. That's another USB-C port. So I'm not quite sure what that is supposed to be for. And also there's a couple of threaded things there. Presumably that might be for a neck hanging thing or something. And there's a couple of little threaded things there as well. So I'm not quite sure what they're meant to be for. Maybe it's to put it on a stand, or who knows. Okay, so that's that. And then last in here, apart from the silica gel little things, we've got what I presume will be the instructions. Okay, so you've got some spare rotor blades there. You've got one USB port, but crucially there is no actual charger in there. There's no actual plug socket to plug this into. So it'll be interesting. There might be a requirement for a certain ampage or voltage or something to be able to charge that. So I'm going to have to read the manual. There's a quick start guide here. Share the skies. Consider others and be responsible. I suppose this is DJI covering their backs, just making sure, you know, if anything happens, I don't know, this is all in Japanese or in Chinese, I think. It's stuff I'm probably not going to read straight away. This is like a guarantee, yeah, guarantee. This is, what is this? Something. This is all in French. Don't know where that is. Safety guidelines. So we actually don't have. This is all safety stuff. So this, you know, again, this is all DJI, basically covering themselves so that they don't get in trouble. If you take your drone out and crash it on the first day, they can turn around and say, well, actually, we gave you a load of information in there. So on the top of the box there, there's like a little QR code that you can scan to get the DJI Fly app if you need it, and it gives you some video tutorials and a user manual. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else in the box. So I need to work out a way of going to charge this now. So it might take a while. But yeah, I'll carry on this story a little bit later when I find out more. And here's the cat Pee-Pee. Hello, Pee-Pee. What you do? You just want some attention, don't you? Eh? So Pee-Pee's got a little outfit on at the moment. She had a big operation about a week ago, and this little vest that she's got on is to stop her from licking the wounds while it heals. So that's why she's not dressed as Santa Claus, are you? Yeah, got that on for a reason. You're okay though, baby, aren't you? You're okay. Okay, so this is quite an interesting thing, and maybe not an ideal situation, is that this is the only lead that comes with the basic drone and controller. Now, that's both ends of this lead. One isn't a USB, they're both USB-C, which is the small thing that you normally plug into your phone to charge it with. So there's no plug with this, there's no actual plug to plug into the mains, there's just this lead. Now, I went and got my old Mavic Mini lead, which is this thing there, which does have a USB port on the other side, but it doesn't have a USB-C. It has a little, I don't know what that thing's called, but it's a little USB connector, but it's actually a different shape to the USB-C connector, so that can't be used. Now, this comes with a plug, which again, this is what I used to charge my Mavic Mini, the first one. This is DJI's plug, so you can plug this in on the Mavic Mini and it charges both the battery unit and the controller. However, I can't use this because that hasn't got a USB and won't plug into that. So all I can surmise is that this thing is the lead that goes from the controller to the drone. Now, so I went and got my phone charger from upstairs. Luckily my phone takes USB-C. I've plugged it into the drone and it does seem to be, the little green lights are going up, so it does seem to be charging it. I don't know if it's the right voltage, who knows. Now I did try, I plugged it into here before I stuck this on, plugged it into there and removed this little panel at the bottom, and it's got a little thing that says host. So I presume that that is to plug that into that. Now I tried that, this was charging but that wasn't. So whether or not it's a sequential thing and this has to charge fully first and then it goes on to charge that, I honestly don't really know. but just for the sake of, you know, I didn't want to plug this in, leave that on charge, plug that into that, and then get back home 3 hours later and find out that this hasn't charged because for some reason it hasn't transferred. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to charge this first on its own, and then I'll charge this. This one seems to have about 3 bars of charge in it anyway, so it doesn't need as much charging. So I'm going to do that first and see how we get on. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing that that this kit does not come with an actual, not only does it not come with a plug, but it doesn't come with the actual lead that you need to stick onto a plug if you wanted to charge it and get going fairly quickly. So that's an interesting feature really, that DJI don't put that into the kit. Whether or not, obviously, my fly mode kit hasn't arrived yet, so I don't know if when that arrives it will have a plug. Obviously it comes with the universal charger with a couple of batteries, or it should do. Whether or not that will have an appropriate lead to plug it in or an appropriate plug, I honestly don't know. So just, yeah, an interesting point there. If you're buying one of these, you might have to bear in mind that you've got to buy some extra plugs and leads to be able to charge it for the first time. Yeah, interesting. So that was an interesting day yesterday. I'm now at my studio and I've got the old Mavic Mini and the new Mini 3 Pro next to each other, just to get an idea of the size of the, obviously that's the controller that you need to put the phone in. This one doesn't need the phone to do it. It's interesting in terms of size with these two. You can see hopefully that they're, this one's a little bit bigger. Interesting to, let's open them out and see what the difference is in size. Just being careful. I always feel a little bit like I'm going to break something when I'm opening these up. So obviously just be careful. But yeah, you can see the size difference there. It's actually a fair bit wider. Yeah, interesting, but again the same weight. Now, I had an interesting day yesterday. I discovered that there was no charging, the way of charging it that comes with the box. You have to have your own charger already. It's a bit of a bizarre scenario really. I don't know whether they're doing that because a few people on some of the forums were saying that they do it because they don't want to, you know, so many people have got so many chargers for things that they're just saving e-waste as it is by not sticking a charger in the pack. However, I think if you've spent 850 quid on a drone, that you probably should get some way of charging it with the pack. I mean, when I bought this one, it came with a little DJI charger. I don't know if it's in here. Yeah, that's not the DJI one. That's the DJI one. So when I bought this drone, which was about half the price of this one, it came with its own little charger, which was great. I could plug it in, charge it up, and get flying. However, this one, I had to go and find a phone charger and plug it in and hope that it charged. Now obviously that's fine if you've got a phone charger, however, not in order to charge these properly. DJI in the manual recommends that you have a 30 watt charger or more. Now I don't know what the phone chargers are, but it may not be the same wattage. I honestly don't know. You'd have to look into that in more detail, but yeah, I mean, it seems a bit odd that they don't include it. Anyway, what I ended up doing was plugging my phone charger in, managed to charge this. This pack was interesting. This charged up fine. This one, was getting to 3. I left it on for about 6 to 7 hours yesterday. It got up to 3, but it wouldn't go on to 4 LEDs, which sort of to me seems like something might be wrong. So anyway, eventually I took them both off charge and I tried to start them up. Now when I started them up, I'm glad that I didn't go out and try and fly them. When I started them both up, this thing takes you through a whole, it wants to link to the internet. So luckily I was at home, I managed to link it to the Wi-Fi. Then it wants to take you through a whole, what country you live in, what's your login, it needed to register itself and all that sort of stuff. So be aware that if you get this through the door and you charge it, don't go off into the countryside and decide you want to fly it straight away, because you're going to need to go through a few procedures before you can do that. The other interesting thing that I noticed was it obviously had its firmware update that it wanted to do, so I let it do the firmware update. It took quite a while, and in the process of doing the firmware update and all that, and installation and all that sort of stuff, 2 things happened. This thing got very hot. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, but it was very hot. And the other thing is the battery ran out. So the battery, before it had fully installed, the battery got down to 1 thing, and luckily because I was at home I managed to plug it back in and get it all finished before it actually just died. So it's interesting that in order to do all those backup things before you even fly it, I'd used the full, obviously it wasn't moving, it wasn't going anywhere, but it still used the full battery to do that, so that was quite hard. Anyway, that seemed to work. I stuck it back on charge again, hopefully charged it fully again last night. So this morning I've sort of come to the studio, and with any luck I can actually have a go at flying it today. So let's see how we get on.